Hello. So we're just waiting for this to start at 9. I am hoping this is the right one. I'm gonna record it. So it should be coming on soon here, guys. Let me grab my phone. I hope you guys can see that.
It's bad enough, and they want to make it a lot worse for them.
Frankly, you can feel, I think, momentum building for Republicans.
80% of Democrats and Republicans apparently have that feeling.
Our team of journalists covering every single angle.
You're a fair man. That's why I'm doing this program.
It's always going to be a balance.
Tonight we got your back.
How do we figure out the truth, Congressman?
One thing I like about your station is you guys are focused on trying to deliver the news. You're not going to be doing the right or the left. You're going to be going down the middle and focusing on the facts.
When you find your reason to go on, let it pull you past the doubt, past the pain, and past your limits. No matter what, we go on. Biofreeze.
I always want to know more about my family history.
We sit down at the kitchen table, pull up the Ancestry app, drink our coffee, looking at all the information, all the tiny details. Dad, check this out. Colorize it. Look at
Wow.
that. Everyone has color. Look at that afro.
That was a style. You have to have it. Otherwise, you're not cool. Let's see what else we can find here. Wow, I'm getting good at this already.
Now on sale at Ancestry.
Suffering from sinus congestion, especially at night? Try Vicks Sinex for instant relief that lasts up to 12 hours. Vicks Sinex targets congestion at the source, relieving nasal congestion and sinus pressure by reducing swelling in the sinuses. Try Vicks Sinex.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope, we use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
I tried it
But
with
you
the
still
light
sell
off,
investments that generate high commissions
but
for you, right?
it's
No,
better
we
with
don't
the
sell
light
commission
on.
products. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in
My
our clients'
TV is
best
way
interest.
bigger.
So when did you make more money? Only when your clients made more money?
Yep, we do
You
that.
guys can hit that like
And
button
Fisher
in case
Investments
others
was
haven't
totally
been able
different.
to see. I know a
I'm
lot of
thinking,
people on my
I should
TikTok are
probably
like,
set
they
up
don't
a
have
meeting.
TV, they don't know how to watch it. I'm currently in TikTok jail, so I can't go live there, so I'm going live here, which is a lot less viewers that join, but they can come over here and watch it.
That's right. With your Medicare plan, you get low-cost copays.
Should be starting in minutes.
Walgreens is here.
Who's on it with Jardians?
We're the ones getting it done.
We're managing type 2 diabetes and heart disease.
We're on it with Jardians.
Join the growing number of people who are on it with the once daily pill, Jardians. Jardians
What I
not only
should have
lowers
did
A1C,
recorded
it goes
it
beyond to
earlier.
reduce the risk of cardiovascular death for adults with
It was
type 2
on at
diabetes
7, I
and
believe,
heart
here.
disease. And Jardians may help you lose some weight.
Jardians may cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections.
Commercial?
Threatening
Come on.
bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardians and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardians with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
A once daily pill that goes beyond lowering A1C?
We're on it. We're on it with Jardians.
Ask your doctor about Jardians.
News agents can confirm tonight an arrest has reportedly been made in the quadruple
Can you guys hear it?
of 4 college students. 2,500 miles from Moscow, Idaho, the twist that no one saw coming.
We have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And the chilling revelation that a criminology student may just be one of the most sought-after criminals.
I looked at the picture and I couldn't believe who it was. It was Brian Koberger.
But this mystery is just starting to unravel.
I said early on that we're not going to let any stone go unturned. And I admit that.
And And the dots are just starting to connect.
He was always showing up a little late, and he told me he's speculating on what he's doing and stuff like that.
Tonight, investigators across the country to Brian Koberger's front door. And what could bring the families of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan one step closer to a conviction.
There's going to be somebody there looking him in the face and letting him know that this isn't going away anytime soon.
A News Nation special report, Idaho murder mystery,
It's just the beginning.
starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Brian Entin, live from outside the jail in Moscow, Idaho for this News Nation special report. For more than a month now, I have been here. This town and really the world was trying to make sense of what happened inside the home where 4 college students were brutally murdered. At the time, we did not know a lot. Some worried that this case would never be solved. But this past week, so much has happened. A suspect charged, and with that, an arrest document that laid out how police connected Brian Koberger to this crime. Tonight, we are taking you through these major developments step by step, the facts of the case and what we still don't know. We're going to dive into the forensics, the DNA, the cell phone data, and how this could all lead to a conviction. And we are going to remain centered on the victims throughout. Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kronodal. Because at the end of the day, really, it is all about them, their families, their grief, and justice. I'm going to be joined by Kaylee's sister, Olivia. She is speaking out for the first time since the arrest was made, and we thank her very much for joining us tonight. But first, so many new details from a single document, changing almost everything we thought we knew about what happened on November 13th.
It seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
That was the narrative about the 4 college students killed in the King Road home that we heard for weeks. But the new arrest affidavit paints a very different story. A night that had everyone in their rooms or asleep much later, at 4 a.m., except for Xana, who ordered food on DoorDash. After that, a surviving roommate notes a series of sounds that woke her up. What she thought was Kaylee playing with her dog. The words, "There's someone here," crying from Xana's room, and a male voice saying something like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And then the most shocking of them all. According to the affidavit, the surviving roommate opens the door and sees what appears to be the killer, clad in black clothing with a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose, walking towards her. She describes him as not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows, and stood in a frozen shock phase as he walked past her and back out the sliding glass door. She then locked herself in her room. 911 was not called until 11:58 that morning.
But still, this interesting question of she didn't call the police, but it raises a question as what was happening in that period of time.
Obviously, you'd like to call right away so you can have an immediate response and get on it. But unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world.
Investigators at the scene found 2 traces of a possible suspect, a shoe print just outside the door of the surviving roommate's bedroom, and a knife sheath that had K-bar and USMC on it. A single source of male DNA was also found on the button snap.
A very subtle finding, if you will, on the sheet to find his connection there, find the DNA, and I think that's the money.
As investigators scoured the neighborhood for cameras and clues, a car stuck out, the white Hyundai Elantra. It's the same car investigators asked for information about over and over again, insisting they wanted to speak to the occupants inside.
Do you believe that the killer was in that car?
You think that they were in the immediate area of the house of the residents?
What we didn't know at the time was investigators knew it was Brian Koberger's car by November 29th.
He was under surveillance, I think, from the time that they realized that this is going to be where the evidence is leading them to.
On December 23rd, they got a search warrant for his cell phone records.
The data that is generated by a cell phone is quite alarming.
Those records put Koberger near the crime scene at least 12 times before the murders. It's also in the area in the early morning hours of the crime and right after. Investigators believe the phone may have been turned off or in airplane mode in between. We believe that he fled the scene according to the probable cause affidavit. They described the route that they believe he took based on surveillance video and just some knowledge of the area. This is the house where the murders happened. We believe he came out the back door and then left in this direction. You can see on this map, police say Koberger went way out of the way to get back to his home in Poland.
Sorry, I was trying to reply and I just deleted it. Your comment, I'm sorry.
4.5 hours later, Koberger's phone.
Yes, she wasn't feeling well. She's starting to feel better. She made a post today.
About 9:32. Later that day, there is another 3-hour window where the phone was out of service again. Investigators say that is consistent with the same location as the phone after the murders, perhaps retracing his steps one last time. And between November 29th and November 23rd, authorities surveilled Koberger's car using license plate readers and cameras. And they got even more information during 2 traffic stops in Indiana on December 15th, when Koberger and his father were pulled over for minor infractions. When investigators confirmed Koberger's car was in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, things escalated. On December 27th, agents recovered trash from the Koberger family home and sent it to the Idaho State Crime Lab for testing. It came back as a profile matching the DNA of Koberger's biological father, a match for the DNA left on the knife sheath.
They have his DNA at the crime scene, they have his car in and around the crime scene, they have his phone not active around the crime scene. So all of those things work to put him there. But the essential question really is why?
I want to bring in Kaylee's sister now, Olivia. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Olivia. You know, I remember from when we first started communicating, when all of this began, you told me that you believed that this was going to be a stranger who came into the house. And according to the police, you know, you were right the way that all of this played out. But what did you think when you first learned that Brian Koberger was the suspect?
I think we always presume, you know, innocence. I don't think it really hit me until the affidavit was released and I was able to kind of read that and process that. And then you not only have a name and a face, but, you know, the beginnings of a case against him.
You have been working so hard behind the scenes, and I don't think a lot of people realize that because in many ways your dad has sort of been the face of the family. But since the beginning, you've been digging into this and trying to find leads and sending things to the police. And you told me that, you know, you didn't feel like you would be able to really grieve until there was an arrest made. Do you feel like now you're able to do that?
I think my family as well as myself are starting to get there. And it's kind of an odd time to do that, being that we still have such a long road ahead of us. But the relief that we all felt having a suspect in custody was, it was like, I can't even describe it. Like the weight of the world was lifted from our shoulders.
And the court process now, though, I mean, that's, you know, your dad has told me that can be overwhelming to think about, the fact that you guys are going to have to be in court. Do you plan to be at the hearings?
Because some people couldn't watch it or stream it, so I'm showing them. You're more than welcome to leave.
Hearings?
Yeah, every single one.
One thing back to the affidavit that I think a lot of people were surprised by was the fact that one of the roommates was awake when the killer walked by, and that the 911 call wasn't made until hours and hours later. Do you know any more about why that might be?
I don't have any other information for that. I do know Dylan is really young and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's people online, obviously, it's totally inappropriate at this point. And you're right, no one knows how they would handle a situation like that or what was really happening. We only know what's in the probable cause so far. Is there anything you've learned that connects Koberger to any of the victims here? Last I talked to your dad, he said the family was looking for connections, but there wasn't anything really apparent at this point.
Yeah, I think we're still going to keep looking. I've had a lot of people reach out with, Instagram posts or even.
I know, I was
Spotify
trying to
or
figure out a way to
connections
make it
that they've
bigger
been
for
able
you
to
guys.
find, and
Let
those are
me
super
see.
valuable. All of those go over to, the Montana
I have my
Department, as well as
screen
Idaho State Police and the FBI.
I mean, like
Because
that big.
nothing is insignificant at this point, and everything is being looked through.
There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Koberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times.
Okay, I'm glad
before,
you have it, Miss
late at night,
Mayonnaise,
early
but
hours.
some
He's
people don't.
presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning before police had been called, I think, to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
How did you first find out, Olivia, that there was an arrest?
My mom actually told me. I had been staying at her house. Me and my husband were upstairs, and she came up the stairs. It was probably around 11 o'clock at night, the day before the arrest had been made. At the time, we didn't know what state, and we didn't even have a name. We just knew that a suspect was in custody.
And what was your reaction when you were able to read through? I think I was texting you. I was in line in court trying to read the affidavit on my phone. What was your reaction when you were first able to read through all of it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that that's been the hardest part of this, is to sit back and look at the totality of it. When my sister was FaceTiming me about a new egg bites recipe, he was planning his next visit to the home. And that's really difficult. It's really difficult not to wish that you had done more, wish that you had known more. But it's just the first step. A lot more evidence will come out. And I'm confident that Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, and the FBI have the right person. And I thank them from the very bottom of my heart.
Me too.
Yeah, I never really thought about it
I
that
don't
way.
really like it.
When you go through the timeline of the affidavit and see all the dates of when the cell phone's pinged, you can actually go back.
If you say
I know you talk to your sister every day.
Area,
you can actually go back and think of your conversations from those specific times.
Yeah, the August 21st date, I can go back and remember the conversation that I had with Kaylee that day.
I know, right,
and how normal everything was, and the fact that we
some people just
had no idea. She had no idea. I had no idea that true evil was genuinely watching them.
So this is certainly
I do
something
see
that
it
your
a little
family
bit.
never envisioned that you would be going through. But I think what's so amazing about you guys is you're already trying to turn this tragedy into good in some way. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you're in the early stages of perhaps setting up a foundation to remember Kaylee, but tell me about your family's plans going in that direction.
Yeah, so from the beginning, we definitely
I know
wanted
it's lagging a little
to
bit,
set up
I don't
something
know
that's
why.
Kaylee and Maddie's legacy going forward. But for, up until there was an arrest made, we weren't really sure what that meant, what exactly we were standing for and standing against. And now that we are starting to be able to put some of those pieces together, we're really, I guess, excited. I don't know if that's the right word, to be able to set up a foundation or a nonprofit or something in the girls' honor in some way to be able to help other families like us.
Summer, for my phone, it looks like it's lagging.
The best way
That's
that
where
we
I'm watching
can.
the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be looking forward to that, and we'll of course want to share that information. And I know people want to know how they can help. Olivia, I don't think people realize, you've got kids, you're pregnant. You have in many ways been the backbone for your family behind the scenes. You've been very, very strong.
She's pregnant.
And we really appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for coming on. Okay. We're going to be sharing more ways about how you can actually help keep the memories of Kaylee, Matt,
She's going to have a little Kaylee.
Alive. That's going to be coming up later in the show.
Hers is going to have a little
this entire
Kaylee.
hour from Moscow, Idaho.
Still ahead, what we know about Brian Koberger, his past.
I didn't know at the time that he was using me to drive him to get heroin until probably a couple days afterwards.
His demeanor.
I did notice that he became a little chattier. He became a little more animated.
And what fascinated him most. Plus, a retired FBI agent spent weeks analyzing the case, why he's focusing on how Koberger may have been trying to cover up the crimes, and why he says the knife could be something that helps the defense.
Oh, did she?
Laying eyes on the person accused of doing this horrendous crime against your family.
I couldn't take my eyes off of him his every moment. This is the guy?
Justice, what does it look like for you?
Justice is when you leave the planet, the whole world is able to rejoice.
We'll
and be
mute
glad
this
that you are
during
not there. These officers, they hit home on that affidavit.
And we'll chit chat. That's cool that she posted that in the Facebook group. That's awesome. I'm glad she was able to tell them. You can tell that they, even though they were far away, like living, and Kaylee was living her, college life, she was still close with her family. I know, me neither. Yeah, I didn't know she was either. I know, Lynn, God bless her. We just have it muted, guys, during the commercial, so we don't have to listen to all of that. Plus, I'm kind of trying to let them probably not copy strike me, but I'm pretty sure they're going to. But it's all good. I'm not monetized, and even if I was, if that's what they want to do, they can do that. Oh, yes, the baby will. And I think it's going to be a girl. It's going to be a little Kaylee. I do. I feel it. I feel it. I should have so recorded this at 7, and then we could have fast forwarded all of this. But it's kind of good we can take a break and not play the whole thing through. I don't want them thinking that I'm streaming their stuff. You're welcome. I have the Nancy Grace special. It's recording. And I'll be able to fast forward through it. I'm hoping my backup TikTok will be at 1,000 so that I can go live on there because it'll be easier to show the screen. But if not, I'll probably do a live tomorrow in the morning when I drop the kids to replay the Nancy one and talk about it. But yeah, you can tell the family has a little bit more joy within them and comfort knowing that he was caught. But like she just said, they do have a long road ahead. So. Hello, Kelly. You're welcome, Lynn. Yeah, I had a bunch of messages asking me to go. Usually I'd be live on my TikTok. Oh, it's back on. But I'm in jail, Facebook or TikTok.
37 days, police were tight-lipped about what happened inside this house, giving basically no information about a suspect or even a person of interest. But what we didn't know was that they had someone in their sights nearly the entire time. Brian Koberger, a criminology student in neighboring Pullman, Washington.
It's called News Nation Special Report Idaho Murder.
The pieces to this puzzle start to come together even more.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Koberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zena, Madison, and Kaylee.
Brian Kohberger, a criminology student, now one of America's most notorious inmates. He grew up in Pennsylvania. He attended high school in the area near the Poconos Mountains. A former friend telling News Nation's Chris Cuomo that Brian was bullied as a teenager.
He was always good to me. Now, over the years, that has changed. I know going into his senior year, he lost a lot of weight. It was then I heard that he might have become a bully.
She also claims Brian had a drug problem.
And you had experience with him using you to try to get drugs, right?
Yes, he did use me, and I didn't know at the time that he was using me to drive him to get heroin until probably a couple of days afterwards.
An old running partner says when he heard about the arrest, he was shocked.
I looked at the picture and I couldn't believe who it was. It was Brian Kohberger. I would text him like, hey, you want to go for a run? We go for 6-7 mile runs at night.
Brian Kohberger. Kohberger got his bachelor's degree here at DeSales University back in 2020 and then a master's degree from their criminal justice program. The spokeswoman for the school says they are absolutely distraught by what is happening. Something really interesting. There is a world-renowned forensic psychology professor who works here who reportedly actually taught Kohberger.
Joining me tonight is Dr. Catherine Ramsland. She is the forensic psychologist.
Dr. Catherine Ramsland, professor, consultant, and most famous for her in-depth interviews with Dennis Rader, known as the BTK killer.
He asked me to solve a series of codes, and I was willing to pass the test.
Dr. Ramsland wrote his autobiography, and she talked about it on News Nation last year with Marnie Hughes.
He obviously liked the attention and the publicity then, and perhaps he still does now. Why give him a voice and a platform to share his thoughts and experiences?
I did this project because I wanted to benefit law enforcement, criminal justice, and psychology, and we want to learn about the early red flags in the life of someone like this who doesn't have the typical serial killer background.
Dr. Ramsland tells us she's not making any comments about Kohberger or the case at this time.
My first reaction was just like my stomach churned.
But Dennis Rader's daughter, telling News Nation, the revelation concerned her.
Do you think he may have had any sort of communication with your father?
Knowing how personally connected Ramsland is to my father, I would not be surprised if Kohberger had at least tried to write my father.
Kohberger also worked part-time as security at his old high school. After getting his master's, he moved to Pullman, becoming a PhD candidate and teaching assistant at Washington State University, just across the border from Idaho. He lived in an on-campus apartment. The affidavit for arrest claims Kohberger applied for an internship at the Pullman Police Department in 2022, saying in his essay he was interested in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. He also posted a survey on Reddit asking for volunteers for a research study where he was studying the criminal mind. He wanted to know about the emotional and psychological considerations for people who had been convicted of crimes, asking questions like, why did you choose that victim? What was the first move they made? How did you leave?
He had to be absolutely sold. You understood that he was small.
A former classmate giving insight into Kohberger's demeanor.
I think the internet should flag folks like that right away.
He became a little more animated. Mostly what I noticed, though, is he was always showing up a little late, and he was always showing up with a cup of coffee. He seemed like he was more exhausted.
Kohberger has not entered his plea yet. The father of victim Kaylee Gonzalez saying this about seeing the man accused of killing his daughter for the first time.
I expected him to be a bigger monster and more intimidating.
I mean, I'm like, this is the guy.
They basically just follow
In
the
the county jail, according to the sheriff, they're trying to accommodate his vegan diet. The reporter who interviewed Kohberger's
Give him a
aunt, telling
cheeseburger.
News Nation's Ashley Banfield about Kohberger's so-called food fetish.
She said it went beyond being vegan. He required his aunt and uncle to buy brand new pots of pans for him to eat out of because he refused to eat from anything that had meat ever cooked in it. And she said it seemed to be an OCD type of situation.
Koberger's immediate family saying in a statement, "We will continue to let the legal process unfold, and as a family, we will love and support our son and brother.
He wants a
We have
fat
fully
cheeseburger
cooperated
with
with law
some
enforcement agencies in an
extra
attempt to seek the truth and promote his
meat.
presumption of
Wants a double
innocence
fat.
rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions." For Kaylee's family, they say they now have a clear picture of what justice looks like.
Justice doesn't have a room where you can read books and you can go to school and you can have 3 meals and you can have your vegan diet. To me, that's not justice.
No.
Justice is when you leave the planet and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad that you are not there.
Yes. I love his choice of words.
Okay, so there is still so much left to uncover about this investigation, the evidence and the motive. We are live tonight from Moscow, Idaho.
Up next, the bombshell that one of the surviving roommates saw the killer. Coming up, a retired FBI agent with a theory on why he may have spared her life.
And
Plus,
have
the
the
tool that could eliminate unsolved murders once and for all.
It's like you big old
My name is Austin James. I'm a musician living with diabetes.
big old burger boy. Oh man, they need to give him a big cheeseburger. I'm sorry, I believe in everybody eating whatever they want to eat, and eat as much of it or as less of it as you want, whatever. But when you do some horrible shit like this, yeah, I don't give a shit what your what your little choice of food is or what you think you need to be catered to, honey. You didn't drive to mama's, all right? You drove to the clinker, okay, bitch? Okay? That's where you drove. And here, you ain't got no motherfucking rights. And that means I don't give a shit about what you eat. Hello, Kelly. Welcome. Thank you. I know they do. They look very similar, like a lot alike. Oh, does he have TV in there? They should show commercials like every 30 seconds of big juicy fucking cheeseburgers from Carl's Jr. Yeah, that's what they should do. Big old bite of it. Right on his fucking TV screen. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the person that is, oh no, he's by himself. Okay, so the person that's in the next cell or whatever is requesting cheeseburgers and stuff all the time or something. He can hear. Yeah, can I get that double cheeseburger from the vending machine? I'm about to get that double cheeseburger from the vending machine when my visit comes. Bring it back. Oh, they can't bring anything back. But yeah, I hope to God somebody's taunting it. Some burgers. They definitely ain't getting new pans. So whether they give you some vegan food or not, guess what? Some chicken and steak or some freaking hamburgers was just cooked in that pan, baby boy. Get used to it. You don't get things like Burger King your way. All right? Not in there, buddy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's got to be the dumbest criminologist in this world. I swear. You study all of that, get these degrees, go to these schools, fucking a teacher's assistant, apply for security, apply for the Pullman Police Department, and you leave evidence behind. DNA. You come back to the crime scene the next day. My name is Brian. Brian Kohlberger, and I hate burgers, and I fucking studied these classes and shit for no apparent reason. Oh yeah, I know why, because I wanted to play mind fuck games with you guys. This is a game to me. What the fuck, man? Get out of here. Okay, it's back on. Shut up, Nikki.
This News Nation special report on the Idaho murder
I'm
mystery live
serious,
from
guys.
Moscow. The arrest affidavit for this case revealed so much that we did not know. 18 pages worth. But that's only just a piece
Yeah,
of this
4 a.m.
investigation.
trash.
The minimum, as some experts
Wearing
we talked to
gloves and
say.
shit to the
Some of
neighbor's
it will
trash,
come out
not
in
even
a
your
potential
own.
trial.
You look
Other
hella
parts
sus.
We'll have to lean on some of our
Drive
experts
the
to
murder
basically fill
car
the gaps
all
until
the
we
way
find
across
out more.
country.
Joining me now is retired FBI Special Agent
Why the whole world was
Bobby,
supposed to
thank you so
report.
much for being with us. The first thing I want to ask you that has a lot of people puzzled is this surviving roommate who apparently saw the killer walk by. Do you think the killer saw her? And if so, why may he
It
have
says
spared
the
her
killer
life?
did. Or she did. Oh no, the
Well,
killer
it's a
saw
great
her.
question,
Never
Brian,
mind.
and I think he did see her, but
No,
I think
he didn't.
looking at the affidavit with the phone records and where he was, I think he had a certain plan. There
He
was a
had to be
plan in place
tired,
that he
dude.
had for this house. So he was executing a plan as he thought it was going to go in his mind. Now, all of the times that people do this, things go wrong. He might have only planned on 2 victims and it turned out to be 4. I think that the rage that he had that was building in the days and weeks leading up to the murders, I think all came out, and I think the opposite side of that rage is an adrenaline crash, and I think that after the 4th victim, it's entirely possible he crashed. He was simply so exhausted, and then you get kind of tunnel vision. He was looking to get out of that house as quickly as he could, and the other 2 people downstairs were not part of his plan, and so he walked right by her to get out of the house.
Never
So I think
saw
it's
her.
entirely possible he was simply too exhausted, and it wasn't part of the plan that he had envisioned.
One of the creepiest things about this for me when I read over the affidavit was that he is accused of coming back to the house. That's what the cell phone records indicate, around 9:15 in the morning after the murders. Is it possible, do you think he may have been going back to go back inside? Do you think he realized that he left the knife sheath there?
It could be, but I don't think so. I think this is sometimes classic criminal behavior where they revisit the scene of the crime. I think he might have gone back there to see if there were ambulances or police cars. He probably expected the police to be there already. And I think he went back to look for police or what kind of activity was taking place at the house. Sometimes the thrill, we've seen people stand behind police lines at fires, arsonists do this a lot. And so I think that he was driving by to see basically the fruits of his actions. If there were, there should have been by that time a lot of police activity and ambulance activity. So I think that might be, it's impossible to tell. This is all speculation on my part, but I think it's quite possible that he was going back there to expect to see a lot of police activity.
Yeah, and like you said, we hear that people like this get a very weird, strange thrill from things like that. Let's talk about these traffic stops in Indiana. There were the 2 stops. Very suspicious. The FBI has come out and said that they didn't organize the stops. I mean, do you think it's possible that this was really
when he got
just
back in the car to put it away?
That Koberger and the dad got pulled over twice on the way back to Pennsylvania?
I just fucked up.
Well, I think it's possible now. I
criminologist.
originally thought that it might have been orchestrated because it's an investigative technique that I myself used when I used to work the mafia in New York City. We used to have the NYPD radio cars, the uniform patrol, pull them over to ID who was in the car and things like that. So I think, I thought originally that at least the first one was orchestrated, probably not the second one, because you never want to do 2 of these too close together because the suspect can raise their suspicion that the police are onto them. So initially, I thought the first one, particularly because it was a sheriff, and the sheriffs don't usually do traffic enforcement on the interstates. That's usually the state troopers, which the second stop was a state trooper. So I think when the FBI, they have no reason to lie that they didn't orchestrate it. This is a perfectly valid and legal investigative tool. And they wouldn't want to jeopardize the case by lying about it afterwards and things. So I think that, that if they didn't orchestrate it, it could have been orchestrated by the Idaho State Police. That's something that people have said, and that's perfectly possible. But I think right now it might be just really a really weird coincidence.
Yeah, crazy coincidence. But you mentioned it. I mean, if it made him suspicious, there's the reports that once he got to Pennsylvania, he had the gloves on. He was moving the trash from his parents' house to the neighbor's house. So that all certainly came into play. I want to ask you about the knife, because I have heard, according to sources, that one possible defense strategy here could be trying to say that knife will not match up to the wounds. Do you think that could possibly come into play at a trial?
Well, it could, and the defense could certainly make that allegation. There will be very detailed testimony by the medical examiners and by people that are experts in wound patterns with this knife. Now, normally, depending on the stab wound, but sometimes you can actually match the knife up right to the wound. In this case, if the wounds are too graphic, if they're too gross, if they were too much together, you may not be able to get the exact knife fit in. So it all depends on the wound pattern. But I anticipate you will have the medical examiner or coroner give expert testimony for the prosecution. The defense will probably have its own experts come in and make an allegation exactly the way you described. I don't know that will prevail, but it's something the defense, is certainly open to trying.
So they don't discuss motive at all in the probable cause affidavit, Bobby. Do you think they know a motive at this point and just aren't revealing it, or do you think they're still looking?
I think they've got an idea of the motive and they're looking for more evidence of that motive. Now, remember, to me as an investigator, motive was the least important thing I did. I think because most murder statutes, you don't need to prove why somebody does it. My main thrust as an investigator was who did this crime and how do I prove it? Yeah. How do I help the prosecution get a conviction? The why of it, the who, what, when, where, and why, the why of it was always the least important for me, unless it led to other things in the investigation.
Yeah,
and unless it is to blunt a defense motion, a defense assertion that it was, self-defense or something like that. So I think that prosecutors always like a motive. They always like to tell the jury the story of why this happened, but the why certainly is not needed for the conviction. It's not required by a statute. Most murder statutes don't require the why, but I think they have an idea. But that's always the most nebulous part.
If this fool gets off, him and Casey Anthony need to
there is no rational reason to do this.
Damn, sure.
When we
They
find
need
out
to get
the
together.
why, it will be very unsatisfying.
Let me bring you a cigarette and soda, please be quiet.
Interesting. I only have about 15 seconds left. Real quick. They say they don't have the murder weapon. They may have found it and just not told us yet. But can they use the same records to go back, follow his drive, and look for the knife?
I mean, they could. They could. It's a very long search, but there's a lot of area to search. I don't know if they were already searching or not, but they don't need the knife for a conviction, but it would be very, very nice to have.
Okay. Interesting. Bobby Chacon, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, coming up next, the key evidence and why getting a conviction is not always a sure thing. We're going to talk about it. We are live tonight in Moscow, Idaho.
Still ahead, the fascinating and powerful world of DNA.
There is no reason.
And then, if that's the case too, then his public defender and Jose Baez need to fucking get there.
Across the country. Plus,
I
how solid is the outcome case in a courtroom?
I don't think he's gonna get off.
I was thinking I should probably set up that
That'd be really fucking hard. You know what I mean? Hold on, I'm gonna let you guys listen to this commercial because I don't think anybody heard me.
I forget what
And I'm gonna go grab me a soda and a cigarette.
I get it. And you're not alone.
This house is too damn fucking big. Hold on, I'll
all
be
these
back.
prescriptions. Are they covered?
That's right. With your Medicare plan, you get low cost copays.
Thank you.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here.
So I just switched to Verizon Business Unlimited. It is just right for my little business. We switched too. Unlimited premium data, unlimited hotspot data. My point of sale is on point.
You know it's from the most reliable 5G network in America.
You know, you get up to 10 times the speed at no extra cost.
When it comes to your business, not all bars are created equal. So switch to Verizon, the most reliable 5G network in America, and get the unlimited plan that your business deserves on the network America relies on.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get nano.
Yeah, my husband was laying down. And the kids are already in bed for school. Well, they're laying down for bed. It's only 9:30. But, yeah. This is crazy. At least it's working better than I thought it was for streaming this. And I can say a lot more than TikTok. TikTok had already been fucking banned for abusive fucking behavior and shit. So I know there's certain words you can't say on YouTube, like if you're monetized, but a bitch ain't monetized. So I'll say what I want to say. We got about 20 minutes left of this, guys. Probably about fucking 8 minutes of commercials. Damn, people. I hate when that happens because it's not ever an hour long. I think I want some cheese and crackers. I think I want a cheeseburger, Brian. Wonder if he can receive letters. I'm gonna draw him a picture of a cheeseburger and send it to him. Here you go, Brian. Here's a cheeseburger. Just lettuce. Just kidding. I know, I'm about to go get some cheese and crackers. What you munching on? I'm so sad I can't go live on TikTok. We would have so many more people to be laughing and joking with. YouTube doesn't like me. I don't have very many followers.
100 days to change your mind. It's simple.
Coming back on.
Anything else I can help you with?
Like what? Have you ever had burritos with tuna? Like low key. Really good. If you like tuna and you like Doritos, you should try it. And let me know. I use it as a dip. It's
Smooth,
so
peel,
good.
and moisturize your dry skin. Gold Bond.
Oh, he can receive letters, Jasmine?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sending him a cheeseburger.
This is the planning effect. If
I'm gonna
Rena's
have my
thinking
daughter's,
of
my little
retirement,
one, draw it up.
she'll get some help from Fidelity to envision.
Hey, these commercials are long. Ooh. What the heck, man? Oh, I'm ready to watch this Nancy Grace after this, though. I'm not going to be live, though, because I can't do, like, 2-hour lives. Plus, I have to make sure the kids are asleep by then. But it is recorded, and in case you don't have it, I will play it tomorrow.
So beside car movements and cell phone pings, what could perhaps be the most important element of this case is if it goes to trial is going to be DNA. We now know crime scene technicians expertly located
Well, they
evidence
got
on
the
suspect
DNA and
at
it
the
matched
scene.
to his
The
daddy.
News Nation's Nancy allude to looking
How
for
much more
different ways
DNA do you need?
is used
Sure, they
in
swabbed his ass.
Brian, it's a technique called investigative genetic genealogy. It is relatively new, and it is solving cases at an incredible clip. DNA started cracking cases in the 80s. Tommy Lee Andrews, the nation's very first conviction, going to prison for rape after Central Florida investigators used a laboratory test for with a "bury his daddy's genes" slogan. Fast forward to 2018, the Golden State Killer left behind DNA for decades, but the rapist and murderer, a police officer, had no DNA in the system. Then police turned to emerging genetic genealogy websites to connect to Joseph D'Angelo's relatives.
It's important to understand that we don't solve the case. We provide them the name of a person that most likely left the DNA.
Denver's former district attorney Mitch Morrissey co-founded United Data Connect after more than 3 decades as a prosecutor. He credits investigative genetic genealogy with an explosion of cold case arrests.
I've seen police officers dust tables in pizza restaurants and gotten saliva off of pizza and off of forks and that kind of thing.
That's how agents in Pennsylvania got a critical DNA match in the Moscow murder, scooping a piece of trash from the Koberger family home in late December, sending it to the Idaho State Crime Lab. Technicians comparing that to a sample of a single source male's DNA left on the...
He cleaned it really well, apparently.
The button snap of the knife sheath, recording a match with Brian Koberger's father, ostensibly using tried and true technology, the equivalent of the paternity test that convicted Tommy Lee Andrews.
We're working with second, third, fourth, fifth cousins and beyond.
Investigative genetic genealogist CeCe Moore shows just how far the science has come, recently cracking the Honolulu murder of Nancy Anderson after 50 years. Well-preserved DNA got tested again more thoroughly, finding a retired deputy attorney general in Nevada. Similar to the Idaho case, police getting a DNA sample from his son before moving in to make the arrest.
That looks just like your mother.
Just last month, DNA helped a family reunite with Melissa Highsmith, who was abducted by a babysitter 51 years ago.
And I just started weeping, crying, and my daughters were trying to use the lives.
Genealogists stress there are only 2 companies sharing DNA profiles with law enforcement, and all those people have opted in.
It's a big misconception out there that we're able to use Ancestry DNA and 23andMe. They have over 40 million people in them. If we could use those databases, these cases would take an hour.
Cases where DNA is significant, 90% of the victims fall in. The 10% that are left, about 9.5 are kids. So this is a science that we then add genealogy to when DNA hasn't been able to give us an answer that solves crimes against women and children.
In 4 short years, this DNA technique cracking around 400 violent crimes, mostly cold cases, an urgent push now on to put new killers in its crosshairs.
There is no reason we need to have serial killers, Ted Bundy types, serial rapists, because we can identify them after the first violent crime now.
In this case, science already vetted in courtrooms across the country, helping to reel in the suspected killer of 4 college kids.
They were able to quickly identify him, get him into custody. These hopefully were his only victims.
The FBI now has its own investigative genealogy capabilities. Most state crime labs contract that work out to private companies. Brian?
The defense team is already hard at work trying to poke holes in the case. We're going to dive into that part of the story coming up next. We are live from Moscow, Idaho.
Poke holes in the case. Well, yeah, if this said sister is taking fucking photos at the crime scene, guess what? Your defense just went out the window, bro, because that's a conflict of interest. So I saw that little rumor floating around too. I don't think that's true, because that would just be fucking the icing on the cake. Like, what the hell? That'd be like me murdering the neighbor and then my brother taking the photos of the crime scene. Like, what? No, not happening. Somebody earlier was like, confirmation, Brian's sister ID confirmed. And I'm like, yeah, who the hell did you confirm it by? Did you speak to her? There's people that look like people in this world, just so everybody knows. Everybody has a damn twin, okay? Somebody does look like you, just a little bit, all right? It's not his sister, and if it is, well, thanks, defense, because you just ruined it for yourself. That's like tampering with evidence. That's conflict of interest. That's just like, nope, thrown out the window. She does resemble her, I agree. However, I don't think it's her. And if I'm wrong, I'll come on here and let y'all know I was wrong. But I don't think that's her. Because, yeah, I don't know, unless Idaho has some random rule that like half of the United States doesn't have. And your family can be part of your defense team. Like, I just, I don't see it being possible. Just like the audio that was leaked, we're going to talk about when this is over, is that audio is not the victims, nor is it the night of the murderers. If people would just slow their roll and read while listening, or listen and read, or read and then listen, whatever you need to do, yeah, half of the shit wouldn't jump the gun, because it's right there. It's clear as day. Like, you can't get it any clearer. Right? Yeah, Kelly, but see, I think this is all part of his game. That's why he studied what he studied. That's why he did the questionnaire that he did. Wanted to get in the minds of the criminals and the questions he asked. And yeah, I mean, nobody can truly ever understand the mind of a killer, except for the ones that like study that and are like experts in that, or the killer herself, because not everybody has that same mindset. You know what I mean? Like, this is all part of his game. He left that DNA behind, and that, I don't know how to say it, sleeth. The damn cover to the knife. I always want to say sleuth, so I'm like, I'm just not gonna say it. The sleep, or whatever. You know, he did that on purpose. A lot of this stuff doesn't add up. If you think about it, hold on, we'll talk about the timeline.
Moscow was once a single crime scene that seemed a Herculean task to process. It has now evolved to forensic investigations in 2 additional states, the processing of a car, and so much more happening behind the scenes. We asked News Nation's Robert Sherman to look into all of the components of forensics and the judicial process that have to go right to actually win a conviction. It's such an important part of all of this. And Robert joins us now from the crime scene in Moscow tonight. Robert.
Good evening to you, Brian. And the goal for law enforcement at this point can be summed up in 2 words: investigation, perfection.
Before we're stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
From forensics in Idaho to pre-dawn capture in Pennsylvania.
You ever found the door? Force was used for evening search warrants.
Police, prosecutors, and the courts working hard to bring their A game.
And you don't want the slightest thing to happen.
Retired FBI agent Kathy Geider isn't surprised to see top-notch investigative techniques like 3D imaging used in the processing of the King Road murder scene, and crime tech spending more than 12 hours at Brian Kohberger's Pullman, Washington apartment, carting off a computer tower and more. Also a routine part of a well-executed law enforcement script.
Every location that comes up, now you have more evidence teams out there, whether it's digital evidence, communication being part of that, whether it's fingerprints, shoe prints, all the different technologies out there. Very, very time-consuming.
The investigation, evidence processing, even search warrants and Miranda rights must be perfect, or the defense can pounce.
The one thing that I'm not seeing in this arrest affidavit is a motive for this crime. Did Mr. Kohberger know these victims? If not, the defense is really going to be drilling in on that.
Criminal defense attorney Tamara Cutman looked over the gag order now covering the case. It's an extensive one, she says, and necessary for both the defense and the prosecution.
To the extent that any information is being leaked into the jury, they may be tainted. And if you want to have a fair trial, we have to protect them from these kinds of leaks.
It seemed like missteps, the beginning of hazardous material cleaning of the house that abruptly stopped.
The feeding has come down.
We'll get scrutiny for potentially damaging Kohberger's due process.
For the defense counsel could be that they just want to hold it a little bit.
We call that spoliation of the evidence in criminal defense lingo, and that is going to most certainly be an issue.
A new crime scene expert spent most of Tuesday in and out of the home. Hired by the defense, this forensic specialist is carrying 3D imaging technology, also used by detectives. He also specializes in crime scene reconstructions and blood pattern analysis. His career splitting nearly equal time testifying for and against criminal suspects. Good morning. How y'all doing today? The 2 Indiana traffic stops of suspect Kohberger and his dad are of little surprise to retired Agent Geider.
You've got the people that are going to, look just at the linguistics of what did he say, why did he say it at that particular time. You are combing every part of that vehicle, seats, under the seats, your format, every little piece of
a former member of an FBI mobile surveillance team, she knows the deputies talking to verification of who's behind the wheel, it's the car, and what it might hold. It's just as intriguing.
We caution everyone, most certainly we have enough information and evidence for a probable cause to arrest, but that does not mean that we have enough evidence for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Everything has to be meticulous.
Oral DNA evidence, digital data, and
Girl, me too.
And must be spot on so that justice can be served for 4 young lives.
I just got into the kids'
This whole
cheese and
community and
crackers.
nation was desperate for speedy answers, and at times it seemed as though this case might never be solved. But we're now less than 2 weeks after those murders took place. Moscow police was asking other law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for that white Hyundai Elantra. A cautious investigation yielding this arrest, Brian.
Can you guys hear me
We are
chewing?
staying
I'm sorry.
centered on the victims and their families as we continue with this special live from Moscow, Idaho.
Coming up next, how you can help honor the memories of Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana. Here's the fact.
More Americans are turning to News Nation.
All right, so back to the being off on this case, everything. So the timeline doesn't really add up either, because wasn't the vehicle said to have been speeding off at a high rate speed at like 3:45 a.m.? So if that's true, I thought they said that he was leaving the area at 3:45. Before we got like the affidavit and all of that, before he was arrested, when they were still looking for this vehicle, it was seen on camera at 3:45 speeding by, right? Well, how is that possible once we got the affidavit that Xana was awake per her phone on TikTok at 4 a.m. and ordering DoorDash from Jack in the Box, and was still up at 4:17. So was he possibly at a high rate of speed on the way to the house? That can't be possible, because his phone pings in the affidavit from leaving his house at like 2:44 a.m. So like, yeah. There's a lot of shit missing, man. I know, Justice. When I saw that, I almost like, I couldn't believe it. I went on TikTok and I was like, are you guys fucking shitting me, dude? Damn, that guy's flying by. This house is really quiet right now. Something is not right. There's not a dog barking, a kid moving. Well, I mean, they're laying down normally. Oh, there goes the dog. Yeah, a lot of shit doesn't add up with this, man. The timeline never made sense to me from the get-go, but I don't know, man. I know Thursday he has court again. I think it said he can plead guilty or not guilty there, or at a later date. I can't really remember. I think it's at a later date. Not really sure what Thursday is, except for like a status check. I don't know, maybe they're gonna ask for bail again and like get denied, because if he gets bail, I'd be shocked. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because people here in Vegas get fucking bail all the time. That shouldn't. And yeah, I've seen some murderers get out on bail until court for sure, on a high level monitor of, you know, being GPS and shit. But still, I wouldn't trust him anywhere out of a cell. Okay, nowhere. I haven't watched the movie. I kind of wanted to, but then I was like, It was supposedly filmed in Idaho. Yes. I was like, what? Oh, it's back on.
To follow the court process and every new detail we can confirm, not rumors or speculation, just only the facts. But throughout, we must all be mindful of the families. Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie's parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. There are things you can do to help. Xana's family has set up a scholarship endowment at the University of Idaho, Ethan's fraternity, Sigma Chi, also has a memorial scholarship fund, and Kaylee and Maddie's family, as you heard, they are in the process of setting up a foundation to try and make some good out of this awful, awful tragedy.
I'm going to pause that. I don't know if you can see that on the screen in case somebody wants to screenshot this. Xana's, Ethan's, Madison, and Kaylee. The foundation is pending for them, but Ethan, you can go through Sigma Chi Memorial Scholarship Fund, and Xana, you can go through and oh shit, that thing's shoot. Endowment, or I don't know what it says, at the Idaho, University of Idaho. Let me see. Oh, there goes the dogs.
We'll continue to be here. We will be in the.
Let's rewind it.
And Maddie's parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. There are things you can do to help. Xana's family has set up a scholarship endowment at the University of Idaho.
Duh.
Ethan's fraternity, Sigma Chi, also has a memorial scholarship fund, and Kaylee and Maddie's family has well. They are in the process of setting up a foundation to try and make some good out of this awful, awful tragedy. We will continue to be here. We will be in the courtroom Thursday covering this case for however long it takes for justice to play out. We thank you so much for watching this News Nation special report. Join us for Twitter Spaces conversation and Twitter in a couple of moments. And for now, I am Brian Entin, live in Moscow, Idaho.
Well, that was that.
It's nothing more pathetic than clapping along. They're not going to clap along with me. You know why? They're holding things.
My dog.
I'm Chris Cuomo. We're live tonight.
All right, now we're going to go over this.
We have new details on the Idaho murders.
Oh, yeah.
How planned was this?
It was planned.
Was the killer alone?
I should record that too, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go watch Nancy Grace in a minute. Let me share my screen. My dog is crying right now because she can't come in. Okay. I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but bear with me. Okay. So it's very hard to hear this but you can go hear it perfect on the TikTok. So you want to go to TikTok. If you have it, put the @ put Martha, MARTA, or Marta .j.j54. You will see it pinned to the top, and it tells you right here. Okay, this says, I'm not going to show you, or I cannot show you the area I live, but where the red DM is, which is up there in the corner that she's showing, is showing you the distance of where her camera is versus these people. Okay, she goes, I just shared it so you can hear how the camera sounds and what it picks up. Then it says something like, you will hear the dog bark, you will hear a discussion, and then you will hear a scream. This is not the Idaho murder, nor is it the night. She's telling you here that this is her camera. She says, this is the camera. I'm sorry, this camera is in front of my house, but put it here for you to see what it looks like. And this video is behind my house. This person is parked in the parking. There's two people who parked there, and we can hear it clearly in my camera. Then right here it says, and what they speak, you can hear, maybe some very clear and some not. If you look carefully, you can see a car go by. You cannot see anything. You will not be able to get their license plate. Okay? The car was seen. The car was not seen because they are hard to see in the dark, is what I believe that says right there. I can't really see it without going to the TikTok. But what she's telling you is she's showing you what her camera looks like. Okay? Because here in the beginning, she's showing you the investigators going to 1112, which is in fact next to the murder house, right? This is just a clip. She is showing you the camera removed, obvious, by investigators, okay? Because if you go back to the beginning, she's showing you. This is the camera that has the house. Camera similar to the one at the home. Here. Okay? She also tells you in the very beginning, and this stays through the entire thing, please watch and listen carefully what I share. This is an example. She's showing you the house, like the real house that has the camera, how far it would be from the 112 to the murder house. Okay. This is what the camera looks like. Now she's about to show you camera similar to the one at home or at the home. Then she goes, she shows you this. The camera was removed, obviously, from investigators. She shows you the cameras that I have. Okay, now she's showing you a red car where you can't see the license plate. And that's when she tells you, I cannot show you where I live, but where the red dot is where the camera is, blah, 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 blah. You will hear the dog barking, a discussion, and da, 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 da. Okay? You hear the dog? That is her just showing you. This is not the night of the murder. You see? She's showing you the distance. She's showing you her camera, what it does, what it sounds like. So a lot of people got confused because they were like, wait, what? She's showing because she tagged Idaho murders and this and that. Okay. So if you go to her page, it's at the top. Hold on. Well, it was at the top. She has since then made a bunch of videos. Do you see? The dog begins to bark. This is completely false. It is not from the Idaho house. She's like sharing everybody's videos that keep saying that this is the Idaho house. Okay, right here, she just tells you again. The video is fake. What is heard in the video is real. I have 4 of my cameras, but the person took it to say that it is the neighbor's camera and the voices of the house of 1122. That is false. In this video is real. It is from my cameras. What is false is that the person recorded it from the video that I shared and says that it is the neighbor's camera and that the dog and the arguing and the yelling and the conversation is from the house 1122, and that is false. So it is this lady's video, guys. So this is the video. She is showing that she uploaded it to show an example. This person, Evie Booth on Twitter, took this video of Marta and posted it and said, Idaho 4, noise from 1122, leaked footage. No, it is not. Because the real person that posted this is telling you so. And I've had people in my comments on YouTube and TikTok tell me that it's real. It is not real. The video is real, but it's not real. It's not Ethan screaming for his life. It's not Xana and Kaylee talking or Kaylee and Maddie talking. It's not. This is a whole bunch of different people. This is how the cars look when they go by. That's what she's telling you. This is somebody in her neighborhood having a dispute. This wasn't leaked after the affidavit came out to match the time of the video that's stated in the affidavit to be 50 feet or 50 yards away, 55 yards, whatever it is, away from Xana's room. That has not been leaked. That has not been given to anybody. The investigators took the damn camera the very beginning because she even shows you this in the video. So I'm like, I'm not understanding. And the guy, Michael on TikTok, was the one that originally I saw debunk this. He tagged me in a video. I asked why he was tagging me. He said to share on my platform. Obviously, my platform was bigger than his. And I shared it. And then I came on YouTube and was like, wait a minute. I saw all of these videos being leaked yesterday. I mean, big creators were leaking this. And it's not related to the victims, nor does it sound like Ethan or Xana. Half of it you can't barely make out. So they bit my head off too, girl. It's crazy. I'm like, really? I'm like, bite our head off all you want. But yeah, you guys can go check out her page. It's right there on the screen. That is where you can, view it. It is not Ethan and them screaming for their life. So, oops. I just wanted everybody to know that. So I'm going to go ahead and watch Nancy Grace now. Since we covered the special for News Nation, if you came in late, you can rewind this and watch it. I am going to try. I'm going to watch Nancy Grace, see how good it is, because I honestly think I could have done clips on this instead of a whole live. So I'm going to watch Nancy Grace, see how good it is, and like if it's worth a whole live. If not, I'll make a clip video of it on my YouTube and try to post on TikTok. And then once I can go live on TikTok on Wednesday, we'll talk about it. So I want to thanks. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Summer. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a bird. If you go to the page and listen to it, it's a lot, like, it'll be easier for you. I have a video on my YouTube and it has the link inside of it. So I'll try to link it in this description of this live so you can click on it and go listen to it like directly. It'll make it a little easier and clearer, but it's definitely not related to the victims or the house or the camera near the victim's house. It is not even the night the victims were murdered. So, I just wanted to get that out, but I will go ahead and see how good this Nancy Grace is and upload it, and then or go live about it, and we'll rewatch it with no commercials because it will be recorded. It's actually been recording for 18 minutes now. So I will, well, I hope it's recording. Yeah, it is recording. Because I remember I said it, right? Yeah. Okay. So I will see what it's about because I don't want to watch these damn commercials. I'm going to wait for it to be done recording and make sure my little ones are in bed, let my dogs out, and get me a soda. And yeah, I will update you guys about Nancy Grace shortly. If you don't follow me on TikTok, go follow me. If you don't follow me here, or if you're not subscribed here on YouTube, subscribe. And thank you guys. Remember, what's done in the dark always comes to light. And have a good night and live in light.